Round one, we're going first. Got our nice mono black deck here. And yikes, this is a hand. Not a hand that I can keep though. No creatures does not make me happy. Well, it looks like we're mulliganing the second possibility here too, because now I don't have enough land. So this doesn't look particularly promising right now. Hopefully, I mean, I could try and scry here, but I'd still have to get 3 lands off the top to play Obliterator, at least 2 to get an Ophiomancer, and I'm on the play. It's just not reasonable. No land. Well, we're at 4. We can't mulligan any lower. I guess this is acceptable. And hopefully we'll pull out. Mono red. I guess that we're just dead here. I don't think there's any way that we can recover from this. This is a very poor start, but it'll happen occasionally. Yeah, we hit Sidisi. That's really slow against mono red. So we have a 5 and a 7. Not particularly great. Normally our matchup against mono red is pretty good because they are a fairly creature-focused deck. Things like I said, Obliterator just destroys this deck because they can't kill it. There's very, very little that they can do about it. So if you're at any kind of life total where you can just race them with an Obliterator, they can't attack into it, you can't, and you just deal 5 damage. Like, they can't block it, they can't kill it. Very hard for a red deck to interact with it. Red-white, okay. Well, we have a Slaughter Pack now, at least. Suppose I can kill Goblin Guide. Ugh. Not what I want, but I'm very pressed for choices here. I do get the Sidisi the turn after I play Slaughter Pact. So I have to play it now, get another land. That is helping us unmulligan slightly. So we kill that, and then we can Slaughter Pact, paint it on our turn. Only taking 2 down to 14. We'll be at 12 when we get Sidisi online. And actually, we're going to be at 9. And our opponent's going very wide around us, so it's going to be very tough. But we have a small chance. Definitely a chance. Sidisi's not the best play here because it's just going to be a wall. I'm not going to be able to use the ability to search my library and put a card into my hand. Windbrisk Heights? Ew. That's pretty strong with all these tokens currently. I'm personally not a huge fan of doing double color aggro decks like this. I find that single color aggro decks tend to work a lot better. One of the main problems is just that in a cube, you can try and get your aggro decks down. Like if you've got a really good aggro deck in mono red or mono white, you can easily play 15 land if you have a really good version of it. So splitting up your land, even with dual lands, makes it tough. And then also a lot of the really good cards in either mono red or mono white are double costed or even triple costed. Like look at our black deck too, right? Things like Vampire Hexmage and Grolf's Messenger. And it's very similar for these mono red lists and mono black lists. You're going to have like Goblin Guide on turn 1, but you're also going to want to have, say, like Isamaru if you're going to be a white-red list. Well, how do you get a Goblin Guide and an Isamaru on turn 1 consistently? The answer is, well, you don't. It just doesn't work. So that's a big problem for these decks in my mind. You get a little bit of a bump because you have things like the Lightning Helix and all those kinds of things, but it just doesn't seem worth it in my mind. You also want to play some number of lands that are things like Mutavault and Mishra's Workshop, Rishadan Port, and those all take up slots from playing a second color as well. Either that or you just don't play those cards, and then you're using those slots for your other color, for like white in this example. And I just personally don't like it. Our opponent's deck looks strong though. I mean, it obviously is absolutely destroying us here. On our Molda 4, we're having some major issues. It's very likely that our opponent's deck will beat us, even in the other games as well. It's not a terrible deck. I just tend to like monocolor aggro lists a lot better if you can get them. See what our opponent's doing here. Maybe like a Faith's Fetters, an Oblivion Ring. They'll have a better chance against our Phyrexian Obliterator if they have cards like that. There's Faith's Fetters. I did call it. Alright. Well, there's probably no card in our deck that saves us now. Yeah, I mean, we can play Obliterator, but we still just die on the attack. Oh, well, I have Hex Mage. I guess I go to 1. With 3 cards in hand against the red aggro deck seems very tough to do, but I'll go for it. I hate kind of showing the Obliterator. We do have a chance, though, so I'll keep playing. There's definitely an argument for not showing the Obliterator and just giving our opponent less information. Because we have a very, very low chance of coming out of this one. Even if we live this turn, our opponent's next turns are still really good. Very unlikely that they don't just kill us on the backswing again. So we block 2 here, we go to 1. But then we're still facing down 3 1/1s, even if our opponent doesn't play anything, with 2 blockers. So we need to either draw a blocker, or we need to draw, and it has to be a good blocker, or we need to be able to draw a land to play Shieldred, and that's not great either. And hope that our opponent plays nothing. Yeah, it's a tough one. If we live through this turn, we still have a chance, but it is a very uphill battle. Sacrifice one of the tokens. And then I'm imagining I'm just eating a lightning bolt here, or something similar. Surprised they're taking so long. No, Krenko's command. Maybe they just don't have any way to deal with it. If I can draw Loxodon on Warhammer, I have a real chance. Windbrisk Heights. Ugh, hopefully this isn't too good. Because if I can draw Loxodon on Warhammer, I could put that onto the Vampire Hexmage, deal 5. Go back up to 6, leave the Obliterator back. It's pretty good. Ah, concerted effort, or collective effort. Wow, that's insane. And we get a land. Well, that is not going to be good enough. We'll have to go to the next game. Considering that was a Moldifor against an aggro list, not bad on our side. Could have certainly ended earlier. But nothing we can do about that. Blood Artist. Opponent has a lot of 1/1s, so I do get a little bit of an advantage out of Blood Artist because we're going to trade off a lot of little creatures. I need to have a bunch of early game blockers. It might actually make sense to play Liliana here. I don't love the card, but considering our opponent's deck, it might not be the worst idea. I wish that I'd actually picked up that Languish, which isn't something that I'd normally say, but in this particular instance, it makes a lot of sense. I think we can cut Shieldred for Liliana. Shieldred's just really slow, and it's a card that's generally not going to stabilize us because our opponent's playing a bunch of tokens. So they sacrifice a token, and that doesn't help us out that much. All of their creatures individually are pretty inconsequential. And getting back one of ours is strong, but not, like, insane. Ever After seems even better than Liliana, than Shieldred, because we can get, like, Guiltleaf Winnower and a Skin Render. Basically give us some big value that way. So I think Ever After still makes sense. Same with Distended Mindbender, because we can actually play it earlier. We can sacrifice, like, a Rager and play this for 4. We can't get Shieldred down on turn 4 ever, no matter what we do. So it doesn't make any sense to keep playing that. Oh, I'm going to submit it, and hopefully we have a little better luck on our draws. Play first again. Alright, this is actually a keeper. And the lifelink here is pretty helpful. So all we need is 1 mana, and then we're pretty good to go. We've got some late game cards, which is almost bad. I don't want too many of these in my opener. But if we can draw a bunch of land in a row, we're perfectly fine. Phyrexian Rager can help us with that. Jackal Pup. Alright. I have Duress. I don't really care about Duressing them yet. Vampire Hexmage seems much more appropriate. Next turn, I might have to Duress, because if I don't draw land, then I can't play Rager. And Jackal Pup's just totally stonewalled. Let's get down... I could Liliana, and then at any point I can sacrifice Hexmage to flip it, which is kind of cool. Turn her to the battlefield transformed and get a 2/2 zombie. It's an interesting plan. I think I like the Liliana. I might even be able to attack the Vampire Hexmage. Because if the opponent somehow can kill the Hexmage, I can flip the Liliana. And Jackal Pup doesn't attack well into Liliana either. Putting my opponent on the back foot's not a bad idea. Next turn, hopefully draw one more land and I can Rager into Duress. This is a really good start. Banisher Priest. Okay, let's see what they target. They target Liliana. I think that I just sacrifice the Hexmage. Flip it, get a 2/2. Does it come into play tapped? No, the 2/2 zombie does not come into play tapped. And I'll get the Liliana so it can return the Vampire Hexmage. This seems acceptable. So I'll just flip it. Sucks that we lose out on the lifelink, but that's okay. It's not that big of a deal. We can still trade for Jackal Pup here, and then Liliana can just rebuy the Hexmage. It goes directly into play, too. Yep, that's pretty sweet. Leave our opponent with a pretty awkward position here. They want to attack Liliana, but they can't get through the zombie. I'll definitely trade the zombie for the Jackal Pup, too. No matter what they attack. Gladly will do it. Yep, coming at Liliana. Oh, that is getting blocked. Put our opponent to 15. Man, we're drawing very well right now. Makes up a little bit for last game. Let's get back the Hexmage. And then we'll duress our opponent. And then we can play Rager. Outpost Siege, Perforos, Hero of Bladehold, Mentor of the Meek. Yikes. This is a problem. I need a way to kill this Hero of Bladehold right away. If only I could have played the Distended Mindbender this turn. I wonder, it might have worked out better to play Rager before the Liliana, just so I'd have been able to have my opponent probably play Mentor the Meek, because they wouldn't care about removing the Hexmage or the Rager that much with the Banisher Priest, I'm guessing. And then we could have played the Distended Mindbender off of the Rager and gotten some of these cards. I mean, granted, that's not the correct play. Like, I don't think that would be the right way to have played that hand, but it's interesting. Because it might have worked out a much better way for us. With our opponent's hand, we're suddenly in a lot of trouble again. Hero of Bladehold is an issue. At least I can skin render and make it pretty weak. So it's not a big deal. And then we can plus the discard. I could just Distended Mindbender still. I'll get the Mentor of the Meek and the Perforos instead of the Hero of Bladehold. But then I can block Hero. Seems okay. Plus the Liliana and discard Skin Render, maybe? It might just be fine to discard Ever After. I feel like this card's probably winning us the game if we can play it. Our opponent passes the turn. We have a land to discard. So I could discard that instead of the Ever After. Hmm. I think that's okay. Oh, they got rid of Ugh, I shouldn't have done that. If I had Mindbendered first, they probably would have left the Mentor and the Meek in the hand. The problem is they don't actually have anything else for me to get for 3, unless they drew it. Dragon Fodder, Perforos. Okay, I got lucky. I did that in a very stupid way. But we managed to make it through anyways. Super lucky. Mindbender's doing a pretty good job of holding down the fort here, I think. Opponent's got a top deck pretty well. Might just have to discard Ever After at this point off the Liliana, because I want to keep plussing it. I could minus it to get Rager. Oh, wow. Okay, never mind. We will discard our Skinrender, and then we can Victimize and be very happy. Oh, this is sick. Yeah, this is really, really good. So, just plus the Liliana, and then I can actually rebuy, like, Vampire X-Mage again with the Liliana, or rebuy the Skinrender. Gross. Alright, so... plus each. Do I want to Skinrender first? I could offer the trade with Mindbender. I don't think our opponent would take it. And if they did, though, I actually don't want them to. Because I'm already going to nerf the Hero Bladehold, so it doesn't really matter. So... yeah, let's just discard Skinrender and then Victimize. Victimize, getting back Render and Rager. Sacrifice our Hex Mage. And now we get some huge value. I can still attack, or I could just leave back the Distended Mindbender. Forgot about these coming into play tapped. This will attack in, and it makes a bunch of 2/1s. This kind of sucks. Not really what I wanted. I can kill Banisher Priest if they attack, leave the hero, and the 2 1/1 tokens. Liliana goes to 1. I think we just leave it back. Because otherwise Liliana dies, and I don't really want that to happen. We're so far ahead that we don't need to worry about doing anything else. Just grind out value off Liliana and win. Hopefully our opponent drew another land here. Yep, alright. Sweet. Whew. I was a little worried about if they had a way to kill Mindbender, because then Liliana dies, and we're stuck with just Rager and Skinrender, which is good, but not insane. Luckily, we would have drawn the mana for Ever After anyways, and that, I think, would lock the game up. So that went pretty well, and I don't think I make any changes. We've already got our lower-end creatures in. Liliana did a lot more work than normal in that game, just because our opponent's deck is so far forward. Like, it's got a lot of really little creatures, and Liliana's a little bit better there. Any Planeswalker is kind of decent against our opponent's deck in that situation. But we'll jam it back and hopefully win game 3. I'd like to draw as hot as I did in that game, and not as hot as I did in the first game. Game 1 and Game 2 are pretty polar opposites as far as our draws are concerned. We drew really, really well getting land after land after land in Game 2, and we drew exceptionally poorly in Game 1. I guess, well, that's not entirely true. Our draws were fine. Our opening hands were miserable in Game 1. Ugh. Yeah, this is awkward, but I don't think that I throw it back. I'm on the draw. I have to hope that I draw a creature. I've got a removal spell and a Loxodon on Warhammer, and Loxodon on Warhammer in particular seems very hard for our opponent to deal with. Well, drawing our most expensive creature is a minor punt, you could say. Got Arena. Not the best card against our opponent, but I'll have to play it. Definitely pricing out this a quarter paladin. I maybe should have done this on my turn. If my opponent has a way to protect it, then that's going to suck. But I don't really want to take 3 damage every turn. Hopefully they don't have anything better. They have nothing else at all? That could be good for us. Get down the Arena. Which is scary for us, because losing a life a turn against an aggro deck like this is pretty sketchy. I feel like they have raised the alarm. I don't think they had nothing. No? Alright, I'm wrong. They actually had nothing. Opponent just didn't have a play to make. This might be Hero of Bladehold, Banishing Light. Alright, that's fine. I mean, this is a double-edged sword for us anyways, and we don't want them removing Loxodon on Warhammer or creatures, so I'm pretty happy about that, honestly. Let's play a Theomancer. I think it'd be a lot worse for them to have Banishing Lighted a Theomancer. We get Ob Nixilis next turn, and we can start using that as a Phyrexian Arena instead. Hopefully they just play some 5-mana Big Dumb Idiot Banisher Priest. Not quite, but it'll work. Still willing to just shoot that. Pretty happy about it. Ooh, or I could play Batterskull. Wow. Batterskull's a big deal too. We have some good cards this game. I think I'm just gonna Ob Nixilis. Our opponent doesn't have a lot of pressure right now. If we get Ob Nixilis down and start using it, then that's gonna put a pretty hefty burden on our opponent. And then we can Batterskull afterwards. Try and protect it from there. I maybe shouldn't even attack the snake. That might have been a mistake. Because if our opponent has a haste creature, then I have to block the Theomancer to save the Ob Nixilis. The 1 point of damage wasn't worth it. Yeah, that was just me being overly ambitious here. Yeah, Hordling Outburst is not going to do a lot on this board. Doesn't attack well into a Theomancer. And really doesn't attack well into Batterskull. Ooh, Attrition? Man, this is getting disgusting. And Victimize. Our opponent is in an unbelievable world of hurt right now. We're fine leaving everything back. They can use the Kythian and then flip it, but that's not a really big deal for us, honestly. I can Loxodon on Warhammer and equip it to get through and kill the Gideon if they manage to pay the mana and flip it. And they have to lose a bunch of creatures to do it, too. They don't lose Gideon himself, but they will lose a couple of goblins to get it. Because it's with 2 other creatures. If at least 2 other creatures attacked with Kythian. Yeah. Not good for our opponent, I imagine. Collective effort killing the germ. That's pretty gross. I'll give that. Kythian's indestructible again. Yeah, that was a really good turn. Good play from our opponent. Batterskull's still an issue for them later, but they can deal with it now at least. I think I'm just going to use a snake to block a token. Ob Nixilis will die. That's fine. I don't want to block the Kythian, because the odds they actually have anything else to play are low. They didn't play anything last time. So I'd rather just attrition down all of their creatures slowly with, like, the snake. Kythian will flip, but I can equip the Theomancer and kill it, hopefully. Oh, they untap. Right. I might be able to Locks it on Warhammer. Yeah, that's worse. Could attrition and kill the creature. And then attack Gideon. Put it to 2. Because attrition, I can shoot off the 1/1 snake that we get. That was a really good turn for our opponent. I know I keep saying that, but man, that was a really good turn for our opponent. I don't know. Equipping the Batterskull on the Ophiomancer might just be the best thing. Oh, it stays indestructible. Did I read that wrong? Until your next turn, it gains indestructible. I mean, Batterskull still just lets us attack for a bunch. And gains us a ton of life. So I don't have to worry too much. I think this becoming a 4/4 doesn't attack through the Ophiomancer. Opponent can force us to attack with... What? Oh... That sucks. I missed... I guess that it skipped through my attack because I thought I clicked Gideon and it didn't register, and so then when I pressed F2 afterwards, it just skipped through my attack instead. That's really miserable, but what do you do? Because yeah, I would have loved to have had 6 extra life here. Being at 25 is a big difference. Oh well, I mean, that's just where we're stuck, unfortunately. Not great, though. Ugh. I can still use Locks It on Warhammer on the Ophiomancer this turn. Outpost Siege. Opponent's finding ways to pull out some advantage here. They might actually pull ahead. They're getting some good 2-for-1 kind of value things themselves. Gideon or Outpost Siege. Definitely doing some work. I could Mindbender, but that doesn't do a whole lot right now. We're just going to put this onto the Ophiomancer and make sure Gideon dies. Go a little slower this time and make sure that it actually registers. A 9/6 Vigilance Trample Lifelinker seems pretty good. Opponent chumps with the Goblin for no reason. Sure. And pass. They are drawing 2 cards a turn now, so that's an issue. Hopefully those cards continue to be things like Goblin Guide, though, because that doesn't do anything. Goblin Guide is not particularly great on this board. I can sacrifice the snake to Distended Mindbender just to get it down. That might be an idea. If I don't draw land. We could also attrition at that point too, though. Sacrifice the snake on our turn, get another snake on upkeep, sacrifice it at the end of their turn, get another on upkeep. So we can kill 2 creatures a turn with attrition. There's a point where we can start thinking of returning Batterskull just to get the Germ token as well. Just depending on whether or not our opponent has enough to block this Ophiomancer. I mean, they do now, so... Might not want to attack. Faith's Fetter is the Batterskull. Okay. So they're going to make it so that I can't unequip it and stuff. But it's still on there. It still gives lifelink, trample, and vigilance for now. I can no longer unequip it. I can no longer return it to my hand. But it stays equipped, so that's not the worst situation for us. Ophiomancer can still attack. Still gets the value out of it. So let's play attrition. Because then our opponent can't block, and then when they don't block, I think I play Obliterator. Because this snake just causes them undue trouble. If I meant to use the attrition, I'd probably attack the snake here too. Just to get a possible point of damage through. Alright. Just take the damage, and we'll Obliterator. I might be taking a risk. It's good for us to get attrition online soon. Just start using it, just in case our opponent find a way to kill the Ophiomancer. Nope. Alright. Well, as it turns out, 9/6 lifelink vigilance trample creatures are good against other aggro decks. Who knew? Incredibly enough, that did a lot of work. Pretty tough to attack through Obliterator and an Ophiomancer and a Batterskull, though. Our opponent was in just an absurd amount of trouble. I could have moved over the Batterskull, the Lockstone on Warhammer to the Obliterator next turn, had 2 giant lifelinkers that were very hard to deal with. It wasn't going to end up well for the opponent, no question. And they had no good blocks either, just because of attrition. If they try and like double or triple block the Ophiomancer, then I just shoot down whatever they play. Yeah, bad news for our opponent. Alright, so Fire, Ice, and Resto. I can now ever afterback Sidisi and Rager. Opponent has Negate. So now's a good time to start playing something like that. I can sacrifice the Gatekeeper of Malak here to get something off the top of my deck.